empty. Alright, so Vannifar Chord, basically new set dropped. We're kind of running through the gauntlet on all of the decks that I love, reminding myself why I slowly put them aside. So, after falling on our face with Blue-Black Fairies and then Blue-Red Tempo, we are moving on to Vannifar Chord, which was my most recent infatuation in Modern. This submission had something that I actually think is really interesting. So, we haven't really played this deck since War of the Spark had dropped. So, while I do have like a Collector Ouphe and a Waterlogged Grove in the mana base, this card seems really interesting to me in this deck. And the reason why I say that is because this card is very good against the blue-white control decks, which in my experience are one of the harder matchups for this archetype. So this deck combo kills by 4 with a good amount of consistency, so it's reasonable at racing things like Tron and Scapeshift and hopefully some of the crazier graveyard decks in the format right now. But Teferi gives us a little bit of interaction against things like the rock decks to slow them down so we can combo. It also means our opponent's going to be unable to interact on our turn, so if we untap, we get to guaranteed do our thing. The other thing that's sweet is this +1 lets us Eldritch Evolution instant speed, which is extremely hot. So I think Little Teferi seems like a good example of this is a problem that our deck has, and Little Teferi looks like it is potentially a solution to that problem. This hand really wants a second land, but it's got double Dork in it and a bunch of other good cards, so let's keep it. Alright, Tron mulligan to 6 and doesn't have a Tron piece on 1. We have a breeding pool here. You like 3 mana Vivian. You know, I honestly, how many creatures are in this deck? Are there enough for 3 mana Vivian? There's only 28 creatures. What are the... Rip. Rip. Land, please. Land, please. Yay! Yay! This is where the magic happens. This is where the magic happens. I think this is a collector matchup. Glen doesn't do a whole lot. Deputy of Detention seems good. Teferi's effect doesn't seem particularly relevant here. They don't have a ton of interaction. And like bouncing a Reality Smasher isn't particularly good. Do I want Eternal Witness? I frequently bring in Eternal Witness alongside Path to Exile. Oh, Nivik. Oh, Pokemon TCG. So they had time to do a big graphical update. That must mean Wall of Roots is fixed, right? Yeah, about that. All right. We've got tracts of land. We technically have an acceleration and the combo, right? Chord of Calling is a virtual Kiki-Jiki. Nope. Still can't use this as a mana ability. Not that I'm surprised, but, you know. Yeah, Ballista's, like, really good against us, son. Like, exceedingly good. It shuts off Mind Stone too. Sometimes these decks bring in Relic because our combo technically utilizes the graveyard. Wall of Roots is a soft removal spell for Thought Not Seer, so that's nice. Since it's an 05. I mean, she doesn't just go through land slow. She bottoms your tutor effects too. Like, my question for Little Vivian would be like, how frequently is she actually better than having a Chord of Calling or an Eldritch Evolution? Neither of which I'm playing 4 of. That would be my big question. Eldrazi Tron doesn't usually play Oblivion Stoneroth. The nonsense reason Wizards gave when they banned Birthing Pod was that Birthing Pod restricted the design space of future creatures. Which, actually, it's funny. I actually responded to Saffron Olive on Twitter the other day that, like, we banned Birthing Pod because it restricts design space of creatures, yet, like, they keep pumping out Busted Graveyard and colorless cards every other set, but we don't ban Faithless Looting or Ancient Stirring, so, like... Hey, look, it was a game where we didn't draw any spells, our opponent assembled Tron, and then they cast all his dust. Oh, the Magic experience. You know, I keep starting early so we can fit in 2 modern decks, but the way modern... No, you're confusing that. I'm pretty sure you're confusing that with the twin ban. Twin ban was definitely justified by claiming we wanted to diversify the blue-red decks that were competitive. I keep starting early because I want to make sure I can get through 2 modern leagues quickly, but like we keep just like showing up and setting a giant pile of money on fire. Pretty confident we're going back to the new stricter deck submission rules for modern. These last couple days, like, I was actually like kind of into modern for a little bit while we were playing mostly reasonable decks, but like the last couple days of like going back to like having wider submissions and playing things like the red green deck that was just garbage and like stuff like this and fairies and blue red tempo, just like, man, this just feels really bad. We should just like play the sweet decks like Bridgevine and Infect and things like that. Not play the decks that aren't actually good. Caritas, thank you for the 15-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Yeah, like the prison deck was good. Like decks that are actually putting up... Decks that are like actually putting up results. I love getting kicked while I'm down. It's my favorite. I actually just let someone add the Bolas Storm deck to the queue. So neat novel things like that, as opposed to just like bad red-green mid-range decks. I mean, so again, the London Mulligan basically just increases the disparity between decks like what I'm playing and decks that are actually good, right? Because the London Mulligan takes decks that are good and makes them more consistent. That's what the London Mulligan does. It makes basically every deck in the format more consistent. Oh, I should have done that first so I could put this into play untapped, huh? It's a bit of a mistake. And two fast lands in the deck, so definitely should draw before I play my third land for the turn. I assume both of these are coming at me. Yep. Ignoring Teferi is smart. Alright, so this is like a technically not dead yet moment, but effectively dead. If my opponent draws a land here, I'm dead. To infect, I'm at 8 infect. But like, you know, if they only fire up 2 ink moths, I can flash an Arresto, eat one, trump the other. Mana Source should be lethal here because they get to fire up all 3. And we're 2 for 2 for playing against decks where Teferi Time Raveler just doesn't really do anything. The note from someone earlier about playing him in the sideboard does not seem unreasonable based on our experience. No, Noble Hierarch does not have reach. All the Knights, Pridemage, this blocks our Snake's Ravager counters. Restoration Angel's a great one. Oh, yeah, I guess I technically wasn't dead, right? I could have, they were only 2 of them were 2s. Yeah, sure, fair. I technically wasn't dead there. I could eat one, chump the other, and then could I chord for a Kiki the following turn? I couldn't chord or evolution, so I'm still basically on no outs, right? Because I'm dead the following turn. I think the chords are probably the trim here. They're a little bit slow. So I could probably trim the second Kiki. That was Scryb Ranger was the other green thing in play. Yeah, and the other problem is that like after the block, the Restoration Angel is a 1/2. So like it doesn't really block profitably any after that. Because like once I eat one Nexus, both the Nexuses the following turn attack as 2/2s because they have a Blink Moth in play. So like without something like Path in my main deck, we're like just dead there. Turn 2 Collector Ouphe, let's do it. Yay! Sideboard cards! Woo! Sideboard cards! Oh, huh? You know, with this hand, this should probably have been a Temple Garden, huh? Hey, Lizardio, thank you for the 14 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, like, getting Gallop Blasted here will suck, but, like, these are definitely hands that you keep with this deck. Not here to mulligan these hands. Storm is 3. This is technically free. Okay, it cost me 2 life. It cost me 2 life, but It blocks the Signal Pest, so it's worth getting into play. I mean, Affinity just finished second at the Mythic Championship. Is there any way attacking with this Collector goes sideways? I don't think so. Hey, at least this is a Stony Silence they can Galv Blast, right? Like this is a lot of them are stone cold to actual Stony Post board. They can at least kill this with a removal spell. What incredibly interesting, interactive, and stimulating games of Magic the Gathering my opponents and I have engaged in so far today. Ooh, they found a red source. They found the red source. They have to kill Pod Mom. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Got our combo here, Collector Ouphe and Spellskite. The old 1-2 punch, if you will. Do I want to path something? So, like, I can Scryb Ranger and path something here. Do I want to give them a land? I'm not sure that I do, right? Do I really care about Signal Pest? I don't think so. Okay, it makes me kind of care about Signal Pest. Are we cashing in Ornithopters for Gain 3s yet? Really, we're throwing away a pest. That seems much worse than throwing away an Ornithopter. I guess Ornithopter blocks Restoration Angel in the long term. You got it. We notably don't have any 3-mana creatures, so Eldritch Evolution is not currently lethal. We can cast Kiki-Jiki if we draw it, that's true. We've been able to cast Kiki-Jiki for a little while, right? Because Double Bird Scryb Ranger technically casts Kiki also. Actually... Yeah, the better part is, in paper, 9 times out of 10, the person with the modular counter doesn't know that putting counters on the thing you've targeted is optional. So a lot of the time, you'll like you'd spellskite the modular trigger, and they'd put the dice on your spellskite, and you'd be like, yeah, boy. Whereas on Magic Online, it's very difficult to get people to mess that up because Magic Online makes you click yes, no to put counters on something. So it's very clear that that's how it works. It's one of those things where like paper versus digital, people get so used to play patterns in paper that they assume things aren't optional that actually are. Yeah, I'm gonna be starting early every day this week, so I can make sure I can fit in 2 modern leagues without going over. This hand's probably not good enough. I guess it has a turn 2 knight. I'm gonna keep it. I have turn 2 disenchant. Off to burb. Maybe I'm supposed to mulligan just because it's nowhere close to finding a collector. Look at that. Nothing but professionalism here, chat. Nothing but professionalism here. Listen, we play one collector for a reason, okay? We play a singleton collector for a reason. So, I think I actually want to knight the Overseer on 2 here, because they definitely have Galvanic Blast in their deck. And I don't want to, like, play Ouphe, have them float red in response, kill the Ouphe, and then untap and get to activate the Steel Overseer. So I think I want to do this. Turn 2 rather than 3-4. You can turn 2 him. You play Bird on 1 and you Eldritch Evolution him into Collector on 2. Wonder if we'll see him fire up both Ink Moths and attack us for 1 plus 4 infect. Yep. That actually isn't that big of a deal, right? I think I'm going to go ahead and path this and enter combat. Yeah, this is modern. Chord is like too slow and fair for this format. It's a little unfortunate that I had to burn my fetch land to get white here, because it means I don't have an enabler for Rallier, but I also don't really have anything good to get back with Rallier, so it's like 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. We're going to 3 infect, which means we're still on a pretty slow clock in terms of that. I don't really have anything going on, and their potential good top decks are cut down significantly by the fact that I have Collector in play. Get in there. Stony Silence that attacks for 3. Let's do it, and do it, and do it. Pridemage gives us something good to get back with Raveler eventually, which is sweet. Hey, Toxic, thanks for the 3 months. I appreciate that. Hope you're having a good Tuesday. Welcome back. I'm definitely just binning the Pridemage to shoot one of these down. The difference between one infected turn and two infected turn is night and day. From a long time playing Kiki Chord, Affinities always felt like a pretty reasonable matchup. You just have a lot of good tools to interact with a lot of stuff they have going on. That was even before you had this card. It was Abzan Bow Alkalol. Had, I think, 2 or 3 got Eternal Catcher in the top end, is what I ended up building. It already got built and played. Yeah, I updated the elves list on my website to have 2 Ouphe in the sideboard. Replace the Revokers. Alright, really want to fetch land so I can get back this Pridemage. Ring-a-ding-ding. Never didn't have it. This was actually one of their better draws under, one of their better draws while under Stony Silence. Actually, so we attack for 4, and then before block, shoot this so we get the Exalted trigger. Just resubbing for work. Started a new job, so I can't stick around. So I don't have my work from home schedule yet. Thanks for all the content. Well, thanks for the support, Toxic. And Mon Joey, thanks for the 5 months. Halfway through the second trimester, it's too late to turn back now. Well, thanks for keeping me around. Signal Pets actually increases their clock by a pretty significant margin here. I guess I'm attacking for 4 a turn. Like, they're gonna be forced to jump block soon. Restoration Angel would be a nuts draw. Chord also good. Can't cast Kiki currently. Prime Speaker Vannifar. Pretty good. Pretty good. Back for 4. Have them almost dead on the damage front. Have them dead on the combo front as well. Rude. Rude. One good top deck deserves another 8. If they attack with everything, they're dead on the backswing. Is it better to attack with both for 5? Yes, probably. We'll make that play this turn. I'm dead in 2 to infect, and they need 2 jump blockers now. Assuming they brick off. Their deck has a lot of bricks in it with Ouphe in play. We need to fade like... We're looking to fade like Gear, Pure Ether Grid, and Master of Ethereum are the cards I don't want to see at the moment. It's a pretty good draw. Whip Flare. Whip Flare would be another bad one. They already played one of those. Chord probably locks things up here. All right, we're on the scoreboard at least 1-1. They're rough mulligan and flood against Eldrazi Tron. Yeah, so far, like I guess if I sit down and really think about it, this card, so while it does seem good in the fair matchups, especially against blue-white control where we struggle, this card is actually pretty bad against a lot of things in Modern, right? Like things that, like even just thinking about like what we come from in Standard, like this card isn't good against things that get on the board very quickly, and like that's most of Modern or decks that play to the board. That's kind of like what this format is about. So I guess I'm glad I have a bunch of them in the main to like get a feel for them in different matchups game one, and like if we play a control matchup, like we'll get to see them in action there. But I'd be pretty surprised if ultimately that's a card if I'm interested in playing it at all, if I want it in my main deck. Morning, Jockey. Another hand where like kind of hoping they don't kill my Noble on one. He's dead, Jim. You've killed him. Oh! Oh, he lives! He lives! He lives! Watch them gut shot our Noble Hierarch. Just fall out of my chair. Land. Rats. Alright, so I could technically play this Scryb Ranger for free, but replaying the breeding pool would require me to shock myself to play it, which does not seem like a particularly good line against the turn 1 Goblin Guide deck, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass here. Morning from Disney World. Good morning, Hammy. Hope you have a good trip. Scale of 1 to dead. Where's this Noble Hierarch at? Just Eidolon, sure. That's actually like pretty good for us, right? Like I have three of my 5 cards don't trigger this. If we hit a land, we're like in an incredibly good spot here. So if I do this and this, and then pick up and shock back in the breeding pool, I could have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana next turn with the Restoration Angel. Is it worth taking 4 to do that? I think it is. How did the opponent miss 2 points of damage? If they attacked, I was going to block. That's the secret key to winning the burn matchup. Always block. I also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can also just Chord for Night of Autumn here. Which that's probably the line, right? Is like Chord for Night of Autumn. We're going to play Mardu Pyromancer as the second deck today. It's got 2 copies of Kaya's Guile in the main deck. Yes, AGH, because you just don't win the game if you don't win the game by not blocking. So you take lines that let you actually win the game. All right, so I can resto here. I think that's the line, is resto here. So that way I don't take any damage in this inside of this combat step. And if they go to bolt the Noble Hierarch in response here like they are. So this was basically a gain 3, right? So now I can float this here. And Chord. Oh, I'm only Chording for 2. That's awkward. I knew that somewhere in my heart of hearts, right? Why did I think I could Chord for 3? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, because I thought I could untap. But they're killing in response to the untap. Alright, that's probably a bad use of Chord. That was definitely a bad use of Chord. I guess if I don't Chord there, I can't do anything with my mana, though. I assume we're dead here. Need to have all creatures and lands to not be dead here. What? It's like seeing one more card out of our deck with Goblin Guide. Kill me? Yeah, Tink, lethal, a true MTGO classic. And I don't mind being dead here. I just like, you just like cast your spell to start the turn. I mean, I guess I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess I could technically Chord for 4 there, right? So I guess playing conservative is smart. Cause I could technically Chord for. I could Chord for 3. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total. You technically could Chord for a Night of Autumn before I activated this Wall of Roots. Yeah, if I had a Chord, I technically could have gotten out of it before I activated the Ooze. That's fair. Where it's like 3 for 3 on taking 4 Teferis and boarding them out because Modern's fast and brutal, not slow and interactive. Sounds about right. I don't know how I feel about this split in this matchup. Oh, what did I cut? Oh, I cut an evolution. I'm not sure what mix of chords and evolutions I want. Cabal Therapist again, just like, when they spoiled that card even, I was like, this is not really a card that's good in Modern. Eidolon's too slow. Even turn 2 on the turn 2 on the play, maybe it's fine, but you're not going to get a turn 2 on the play most of the time. And I don't think it's better than most of the other cards in my deck. Mono black zombies can be decent in Modern. Is Bridgevine technically a mono black zombies deck? It makes a lot of zombies that are only black, so we could technically call that mono black zombies, right? Hand's great. Y'all are great. Magic's great. Even if they bolt the bird on 1, we've got a Wall of Roots on 2, only having to take 1 damage from this fetch land. One of the big ups in this matchup is being able to just, like, have hands where you don't incidentally kill yourself. So, like, a hand like this is very good for that reason. Hey, Chase. Well, thanks for keeping me around. Hope you're having a great Tuesday. Yeah, the Bridgevine was like a deck that was fairly real before it got additions, and it got like a number of very powerful additions. Like it's not even just Hagak, right? Like it's the Carrion Feeder is a big upgrade for that archetype too. All right, so I think my plan is to minimize the amount of damage I'm taking from my lands this game. Ooh, that's a Wall of Roots. Okay, so I was gonna play this tapped and play Wall of Roots. Now I'm going to fetch a Plains and go wall. Would Stoneforge even be good against Burn? It wouldn't. Their deck plays so many ways to kill Stoneforge Mystic, and if Stoneforge was part of the format, they'd easily just play Smash to Smithereens or Destructive Revelry like they frequently do already. Stoneforge is not a card. I genuinely don't think Stoneforge would make a huge impact on Modern. Format is really fast and brutal. Stoneforge is a consistent card. It's not a fast and brutal card. It consistently gets you a Batterskull, but like Batterskull's not super powerful. I would like to block. My opponent has a basic Plains in their burn deck. It's a bold strategy. Bold strategy. Boldly going where burn players frequently choose not to go. How about a 2/4? How about a 2/4? Prepare for the Moto Crash. I boarded out my second Kiki, right? So technically I can't kill them through a lightning bolt. Yeah, I agree with that. If you could register like 2 to 4 GTAs, then Stoneforge would be good against Burn. Batterskull not so much. Alright, so you're dead. If they pass with no mana up, they're dead. Alright, so let's take our time here because it's been a hot second since I've done this. So we pod this into Scryb Ranger. You haven't seen this before. This is the combo aspect of this deck. Prime Speaker Vannifar, a forest in play, kills your opponent starting with a 1-mana creature. So we get Scryb Ranger. Scryb Ranger, untapped Vannifar, returning the forest. Vannifar, pod Scryb Ranger into Renegade Rallier. Renegade Rallier triggers and returns Scryb Ranger to play. We replay the forest. We have Scryb Ranger, untap Prime Speaker Vannifar. Prime Speaker Vannifar, pod Scryb Ranger into Village Bellringer, which untaps Prime Speaker Vannifar. Prime Speaker Vannifar pods Renegade Rallier into Restoration Angel, which blinks Village Bellringer, which untaps Vannifar. And then Vannifar pods Restoration Angel into Kiki-Jiki, which untaps, which combo kills with Village Bellringer. And building blue-white control for MCQ at GPTC. Talk me down on a ledge for registering 4 Narset and a puzzle box. Listen, if you're choosing to register blue-white control in a format as obnoxious and unfair as Modern, my only advice to you is follow your heart. If your heart says you want to play 4 Narsets in a puzzle box, you should do you. Go have a good time. Magic's a game you should be playing for fun. If you're not playing something truly busted like Dredge or the Hogok deck, the Bridgevine deck, just like, just play the cards that make you happy. That's what Magic's about. Play the cards. Does it spark joy? Then play it in your deck. Play it in your deck if it sparks joy. Is this hand good enough on the draw? I think it is. It's like, by no means like the top echelon of our hands, but again, the thing that really goes, oh, I want to keep this hand to me, is the fact that I have these 2 fast lands. Like, Noble Hierarch, pretty likely to die. Have a Path to Exile for their first play, which is nice. Restoration Angel eventually blocks. Neobrand. Yep. Yeah, if I go play... If they don't ban anything, and I go play the tournament in July, I'm probably going to register something like Neobrand. Sounds wonderful. I think I want to play my Noble on 1 here, as opposed to pathing their Swift Spear. Might be a mistake. Do you have a bolt for my bird? Suspended a Rift Bolt. Deal. So we'll go Hallowed Fountain tapped, play bird, path something. Or we could cast that. Or we could cast that. I think we just cast that, huh? Hold on. Change of plans. Pivot. Pivot. Man, anybody been here long enough to remember registering Lone Missionary? Good. Good golly, this card is better than Lone Missionary. To set a bar that's low. I don't have to register Lone Missionary. For 1 bar mana, fair, but I get to play 3 copies of it and not feel bad. You register 3 copies of Lone Missionary, people, you're off your rocker. As someone who frequently registered Lone Missionary as the 61st main deck card to respect burn, it's like this is a much better timeline. All right, we're killing my Noble, that's fine. So next turn's gonna be tapped Hallowed Fountain, bird, path the Swift Spear. We're taking 3/6 here down to 9. They have 1 card left, though, and I'm dealing with their creature, and my Resto on the Night might get us 4 back later. Lone Missionary described my sex life. That one might be a little bit too personal to share on stream. Might wanna hold that one to yourself in the future. So I'm gonna wait to path their Swift Spear because I want to encourage them to play their spells proactively. So that way they hopefully tap off with a potential hold up a Skullcrack, so I can get this Resto Blink on the Knight to gain 4. Knight to gain 4. Does this deck only win by comboing? No. You frequently win games by just attacking with your creatures. This is a combo deck that has a mid-range backup plan. This game, in fact, in particular, is looking like a game where we're likely to win by just attacking. Sweet. Alright, so this puts us to 6. We path this. Resto, unless they draw Absurd and we draw all bricks, we should be a pretty solid favorite from here, because we're going to attack them for 2, and then we're going to go to 10 when we Resto the Knight here. This gains 4 when it comes into play, and Resto blinks something. Ooh, remember when I said this was a game we were going to likely win without comboing? That's less likely to be true now. So if we don't draw Kiki-Jiki next turn, we can pod the Knight into a Kiki-Jiki and then kill them. Or evolution the Knight into a Kiki-Jiki. And they have no cards, and we're going to 10, so even if we draw the Kiki-Jiki because we're incredibly unlucky, we'll be able to evolution the bird into another Knight and still be very incredibly likely to win the game. They have 1 card in their hand that they just drew for the turn, so we're guaranteed not dead this turn. This is another matchup that I've played a lot of that, like, on average, is good for us. Light them up. We're on fire. Oh, ho, 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 ho. They are dead, 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 dead. They are dead, dead. We didn't draw the Kiki-Jiki. Yay, the people rejoice. Woo! Let's make this bigger. Click on this one. So Freaky Kiki makes infinite birds. To be fair, my opponent only drew 4 lands until that light up the stage. I pathed them to give them their 5th land. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So this deck still seems reasonable. The Time Ravelers seem really bad. Like, maybe out of the sideboard if I expected a lot of blue-white control, but this card does not seem good. We're just like 3 for 3 on just like really aggressive matchups. We're just like, yep, gotta cut that one. Kiki's delivery service. Yeah, alright. Please play a Hallowed Fountain. Yes! We found it! We did it! We did it! Alright, let's see. This is it. This is what we've been training for. This is what... Prepare yourself, Teferi. Make target blue-white controlled player sad. It will all be worth it if my blue-white control opponent is sad this match. Alright, Poppy, veto me. Veto me, Daddy. Remember your training. We've been preparing for this day for so long. For so long. He's ready to cantrip the crap out of this Teferi. I'm really hoping this pause is a long sigh. I'm playing blue-white control and they have main deck Teferi Time Raveler pauses. That would make this whole league worthwhile. Nothing quite sparks joy for me like making blue-white control players miserable. What is this format? What is this format? Just this format is so messed up. It's so just completely and entirely absurd. And anybody who thinks this format isn't in desperate need of moderation and ban list updates is just off their flipping rocker. Just yeah, you got my Misty Rainforest has been surgically extracted. You got it. Does it resolve now? Good. Excellent. Thank you. It's just, oh God, people. Oh, who's excited for this? Who's excited for this? Allow me to show you my next trick, opponent. I mean, they didn't have the force last turn. Welcome to Thunderdome. Welcome to Thunderdome. It's a very pretty Magic card. Main deck Ashiok Dreamrender. Sure. Where did the Bridgevine deck hurt you, opponent? Please tell me. Are they dead? I feel like there's an incredible chance that they're dead next turn, right? Oh, I guess this technically turns off our search effects, huh? Yeah, we can search in response. All right, so what do I want to do here? I can't chord for Vannifar. Oh, they should be dead here. So I get to end step. So I get to click, and then I can Eldritch Evolution my click into Vannifar at the end of turn. Because I plus my Teferi Time Raveler. Woo, doggy! All right, Teferi. Maybe some of this card in the sideboard is good. That definitely that definitely showed up and did what I wanted to do, which was punish the blue-white control player. I am viscerally satisfied. Good luck, Elks. Sir Teaglesworth sounds good. Some Unified Wills could be okay. Witness is good. Knight's okay. Skite's okay. Instant speed evolution is kind of delicious. I feel like any amount of these cards are good. What do I want to trim? I feel like with the 4 Teferi, so like previously I'd just go to cutting all the Eldritch Evolutions, but I feel like with 4 Teferis, I can afford to leave some of those in. Is it crazy? I probably just want to cut some of my mana creatures, huh? Just like do this. Seems fine. Hey, 9-ball. Thank you for the 13 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. So keeping me around. Alright, yeah, let's do this. Maybe I don't want quite all of these. And they have Detention Sphere. Let's not do all of these. Let's leave more, bring more attackers in. Punishing Waterfalls, thank you for the 19 months. I appreciate you continuing to ship your Prime this way. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. Do you know the Teferi man, the Teferi man, the Teferi man? Do you know the Teferi man? He stops your counter spells. Like, turn 2 Teferi's nice, but like you're not always gonna have it. Although we always have it because we're professionals, but do I turn 2 Teferi or do I just hold up this Unified Will? Yeah, I'm probably supposed to turn 2 Teferi. Oh my, who are we kidding? Who are we kidding? I'm gonna draw a card right away because they could Narset me next turn. Sounds good, hand over fist. Always happy to test things. Blast Zone. Okay. So I probably don't want to play this out. I think I want to just play Prime Speaker Vannifar. They want to turn this into a land next turn. I could definitely use the mana. Yeah, the fact that, like, this is, like, your counter spells are turned off is like, yep, nice Hearthstone deck. Sure. The fact that I haven't hit a fetch land yet feels pretty bad. Yeah, definitely. We actually played the Neoform deck once before, and it was really sweet. That deck probably got better with the blue-green cycle land as well, huh? Yeah, plussing Tef gives you instant speed evolution. I'm gonna go ahead and just play Noble Hierarch out here and, like, pace myself a little bit with this Unified Will. Because unless they stick, like, a Planeswalker here, we're in, like, a pretty good spot, right? gonna go ahead and use my mana for the turn. Alright, I still don't think Teferi's good in the main deck of this deck, but like, if I would probably register some in the 75 because I viscerally hate the blue-white control deck in Modern, and like getting to play this card that just like, nice blue-white control deck, let me stuff you in this little box and just like push them off it's very satisfying. Very incredibly satisfying. Big Kitty, thank you for the 27 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Silent Faith, thank you for the half a year of support. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Someone else had mentioned 3 mana Vivian. I can see that being okay. If you wanted to play a couple copies of that, maybe. It would only be better if you cast Teferi with River of Tears. savor the flavor, huh? As a note to my subs, I haven't mentioned this yet today, but I'm going to mention it a few times. I emailed out the sub survey last night, so check your email and your spam folder. If you're a subscriber and you didn't get it, you can join the subscriber Discord server, and it's linked in the announcement section. If you're a new sub who hasn't partaken in one of my sub surveys before, basically it's like 5 multiple choice questions and then 1 free response thing for anything else you want to tell me. It's just like, which of my content that you like the most, which content that you usually watch the channel, how you watch my content, whether Twitch or YouTube. So if you'd like to help give me some metrics and provide feedback that helps sculpt the type of content I make on this channel, make sure you fill that out. Always like to make sure the type of content I'm making aligns well with the people who pay my bills, what they want. Ribbon, thank you for the 13 months. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. This hand is not particularly good against, I guess they could be spirits. This hand isn't very good against most creature matchups just because it's very slow. Yeah, humans plays an actual island with some consistency. Okay, sweet. So not fish. Yep, humans. Probably gonna deputy this Aether. Yep, definitely. Was probably gonna deputy 1 vial. Deputying 2 vials is delicious. Yeah, a lot of the humans decks are up to 2 basics for field path decks. Because people love them blue-white control for whatever reason. Jinkies. Get them. Yeah, if this deck could reasonably play Snow Permanents, we would play Ice Fang in a heartbeat. I like that they put the Noble in response, just like, but Jeff, you could take this Noble Hierarch. Don't you want the Noble Hierarch, Jeff? Thunderwunk, thank you for the 2 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. Oh, look at that. They played an adorable 1/2. So, I didn't play 2 lands in the same turn. Misty Rainforest, Windswept Heath, and Flooded Strand are what we refer to as fetch lands, which are lands that get other lands out of my deck. So I play this as a land for the turn, and then I activate it to get a basic land or a shock land out of my deck. And these fetch lands are very powerful because, for instance, this blue-green fetch land can get this green-white Temple Garden. So basically this, even though it's technically a blue-green fetch land, it gets all 3 colors in my deck. So mana bases in Modern are very, very good and consistent because these lands basically make 5 colors of mana. Yeah, if I get to untap with this, the Noble Hierarch draw means we kill them. All right. Prime Speaker is heading back upstairs. Do I want to flash in Resto? They know about Resto. I'm just gonna play my mana sources out here, I think. And as always, just as a general encouragement to people who are new, because I know we have a lot of wonderful viewers that came into Magic with the advent of Arena, and we play Standard there. If you have extra questions or wondering what a card does or why its effect is happening, I'm always happy to dive into a little bit more depth in Modern. I do generally try to talk through why the cards are doing what they're doing, but I know I can definitely add some specifics sometimes for people that are looking for that effect, looking for that. Does humans play spot removal? Generally, they do not. They play this card Reflector Mage, which is pseudo spot removal. Like, this sends a card back to my hand and then says I can't play that card the following turn. They also play effects like this, Meddling Mage here. So my opponent, when this comes into play, they name a card, and they've named Restoration Angel because they knew about this one from the Kite Sail freebooter. So I just can't play Restoration Angel as long as this Meddling Mage is in play. I don't know what that looks like, hand over fist. Have another Reflector Mage? Yep. Yeah, the fact that they didn't name Prime Speaker and they named Restoration Angel my instant speed threat implies to me that they might even have a third Reflector Mage after this. Would love to draw a Chord or an Eldritch Evolution here. So I can't play Restoration Angel because of Meddling Mage, and I can't play Prime Speaker Vannifar because it was bounced by Reflector Mage last turn. So I basically just have to sit here and twiddle my thumbs. Yeah, Standard, there's plenty of 3-color decks in Standard, but they tend to be worse than... The mana in them, at least, is worse than the mana that you have in Modern, for sure, in 3-color decks. All right, if they don't have another Reflector Mage, we might be okay. Actually, was I supposed to fetch there? Is that point of life going to matter? Wow, that's incredibly unlucky. So we've drawn all 3 of our Restoration Angels while they have Meddling Mage on Resto. I don't look at decks while I'm streaming Handover. If you're interested in having me play something, please submit it using the form on my website. If you're interested in just getting feedback from me on something, I'd encourage you to list it in the subs Discord. Do I like Modern or Arena from a diversity meta standpoint? I generally greatly prefer Standard to Modern. So Modern has a lot of what I would refer to as deck diversity, in that there's a lot of different ways you can find yourself dead very quickly in Modern, but Modern tends to lack archetype diversity in that the types of decks that are good in Modern tend to be lacking on average a lot of the time. So like, for instance, even though there's, say, 2 or maybe even 3 dozen different decks in Modern, a lot of these decks are all things that it's a word that I'm searching for. They are all things that are trying to just get you dead ASAP, as opposed to, like, playing spells that interact with your board. Like, even my opponent's deck here, which is considered one of the most fair decks in Modern, like, it's even a pseudo-prison deck to a degree, right? Like, they won that game by saying, Jeff, you can't cast your spells, and the couple of spells you can cast, we're going to send it back to your hand and say you can't cast it the following turn. I actually think the current arena format is very diverse by standards metrics, but yeah, standard, even when there's a dozen decks, it isn't really, it can't, like, from a raw deck number standpoint, like, it can't compete with a format that has 16 years worth of sets in it, right? Like, there's almost 60 modern legal Magic sets. This hand's just a little bit too slow, and Kiki-Jiki's actually uncastable, so we're gonna go ahead and mulligan. It's fine. It's got, so Bird of Paradise gives us an extra mana similar to something like Llanowar Elves, and then Renegade Rallier here is actually another piece of acceleration alongside a fetch land, because this Revolt mechanic says if something left play, we get to get a card back from our graveyard. So fetch lands both trigger Revolt because they leave play, and we can get them back, giving us an extra land for the turn. Are you implying that Modern is brutal and unforgiving? I'm not implying. I'm saying straight up it is. There's no implication here. It is brutal. That's just the facts. In my opinion, the green-white creature tutor, Eldamari's Call and Horizons, is worse than both Chord of Calling and Eldritch Evolution. We're not playing 4 of both of those cards, so I don't really think I want 8, 9, and 10 tutors. Ooh, they're trying Sunbaked Canyon as a way to draw extra cards here. So my opponents let off on an accelerant of their own. There's a lot of these cards that give extra mana in Modern because Modern is such a fast and brutal format. The decks that are playing somewhat fair, like my opponents and like my own, tend to have lots of accelerants in them so they can play to try and keep up with the decks that are doing unfair things. So this Chord of Calling card lets me tap my creatures for mana and finds another creature out of my deck. So I have 3, 4, 5. This is a 6th mana. So it's like, do I want to chord and find something that costs 3 or less? I'm not sure that I really do. I guess I can potentially find a Knight of Autumn. I have Deputy of Detention as well. The problem here is that once I do those things, I'm out of Chord of Calling for the turn. I think I'm actually going to cycle this Waterlogged Grove. So this is a land that I can sacrifice to draw another card. Restoration Angel's not a bad draw for down the line. It does unfortunately mean I don't really have anything to do this turn, though. I'm going to go ahead and attack with this Renegade Rallier because I don't think they're going to trade their 2/2 for it because this 2/2 grows as they play more humans out. And I'm not going to be able to block this because when this attacks, it gets bigger from the Exalted text in these Noble Hierarchs. So if I'm not blocking when they attack, and I'm pretty confident they don't want to block here, I might as well attack for free 3 points of damage. So one of the things about Modern is that what different people find fun varies a lot from person to person. So just like I have a ton of standard decks on my website, there's actually close to 50 modern decks on my website. And anything in the fan favorite, high potential, or proven category, I think is plenty fine if you're just focusing on things like smaller events like IQs or FNM and stuff like that. So I'd always encourage people to proxy or play on a service like Cockatrice when finding a modern deck because there's just so much out there that it's hard for me to predict what a different person is going to like. There's just so many different directions you can go in Modern. It's also expensive too, yeah. So like, if you spend a lot of money getting into Modern, you want to make sure the deck that you're getting is something you're really going to enjoy. Sure, X-Mage exists. I personally always preferred playing on Cockatrice than X-Mage because X-Mage is slow and clunky, a lot like Magic Online is. So they've played, every time they play a human, this thing gets bigger. and this human makes all of their other humans bigger, so my opponent now has a 5/5 and a 2/2, so we're going to attack for 7 this turn. Now, the nice thing here is this Chord is going to be able to go fetch a Deputy of Detention next turn. Honestly, maybe I should have just fetched Deputy this turn. Hard to say. That's a Kiki-Jiki that I cannot cast. That is how this works. So I'm going to play this land out. I'm going to pass. If I don't die in combat this turn, I can Chord for Kiki next turn and kill them, right? Because if I blink this, it gets a land back. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I can live through this combat step, I can combo kill them next turn. And Restoration Angel, the way blinking and blocking works here, I can block this big lieutenant as a 5/5 and then resto blink this. The fact they're cycling this here is really good for us. No, they haven't played a card like Malcontents in a long time. Yeah, Cockatrice does require manual game actions, but because it requires manual game actions, it goes a lot faster because you can shortcut things when playing Cockatrice, similar to how you would shortcut things when playing Paper. In fact, when Matt and I were testing a lot of competitive Magic and traveling a bunch, we would frequently sit with 2 laptops in the same room and play against each other on Cockatrice instead of proxying things and like playing with paper cards. So like not having to shuffle is a huge advantage to digital, even when you have to take manual game actions. Okay, so let's think through what's happening here. So this Reflector Mage is trying to bounce my Birds of Paradise. So these 2 are dealing 6 total if I block here. So I think I just let this happen. And my line here is Renegade block the Lieutenant, Resto blink the Rallier, get a Waterlogged Grove back, and then assuming I don't draw Kiki-Jiki, my second Kiki-Jiki for the turn, I'll have 4, 5, this is a 6 land, and then I'll have 7, 8 creatures with creatures, and I'll be able to Chord for the second Kiki. So, assuming I don't draw Kiki-Jiki for the turn, my opponent's going to get combo killed next turn because Restoration Angel and Kiki-Jiki make for infinite Dorkos. I can't Chord before the draw step, BJ Roth, because I don't have enough mana. So I actually put a stop on my upkeep here, because if they hadn't sent my bird back to my hand, I would have had enough mana to do it before my draw step to play around that. But because they've gotten rid of the bird, I can no longer play around that. Don't draw Kiki. Alright, sweet. You're dead. So, Kiki-Jiki plus Restoration Angel make infinite 3/4 Restoration Angels with flying and haste. So, I get to do this. Grab our friendo. And again, while our deck can win in a fair fashion, a lot of our games are combo kills like this. So Kiki makes a copy of Resto. The Resto copy blinks Kiki, and because Kiki has haste, he gets to do this thing again and again and again. Just in a bit of a loop. Malurin, thank you for the 13 months. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Yes, Revolt has simply left the battlefield. It's much, much better than requiring something to die. This card would be unplayable if it required something to die. I think I'm happy with how we sideboarded. I'm going to go ahead and run it back here. This is a hard game. This is a game we have to win where we're on the draw. Nice. Flight forward. After after this is the last match of this league, again, for every morning this week, and I think through the end of the month, I'm going to be doing 2 modern leagues in the morning to play with some of these new Horizon cards and work through some of the extra modern submissions I've gotten. So this hand, obviously, it kind of feels bad that I have this Kiki-Jiki, but I can click to take the Kiki out of my hand to draw another card. But this hand with turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Click, turn 3 Prime Speaker Vannifar is just very reasonable, so we're going to go ahead and keep here. Our 6-card hand is good. Yeah, there isn't a Vizier of the Menageries in this 75, and I think that's probably wrong. If you watch the rest of the league, the Teferis have been kind of mediocre. We cut them in 4 out of 5 matches. They did win us against blue-white control, which was previously really hard, so 2 or 3 in the 75 might be okay for that matchup, but... Unstable lands look weird in paper, too. They don't look like Magic cards, right? Because there's no border. It's basically the complaint I've heard from people, which I'm kind of inclined to agree with. All right, so do I want to Rallier and get an extra land? So because I drew this, and again with the fetch land, this triggers the revolt mechanic, which lets me get the fetch land back. So I can actually ramp again this turn if I want. Playing the click out doesn't really... I think I'd rather have a land than cycle. So like I could play Misty, fetch Island, and play click, take the Kiki out of my hand and draw another card. Or we can Rallier and get a little bit more ahead on mana. But like, am I really doing anything with my mana here? Is the question. I'm kind of not, right? Now, I definitely don't think I want to click them. I want to get the Kiki out of my hand. Because, like, if I draw, like, a Path to Exile next turn, for example, that would be really good. Morning, Christoph. My morning's going swell. We're 3-2 in game 3 of this match. Could go either way at the moment. I think we're a little bit behind, but not by too much. Depends on how aggressive their leftovers are here. If we get like Mantis Rider or another Lieutenant, we could be in a little bit of trouble. Reflector Mage also doesn't bode well for getting our Prime Speaker set up. Yeah, Teferi, 3-mana Teferi is just not very good at decks that play to the board quickly. And that's a large majority of Modern. It's decks that play to the board fairly quickly. And clicking in response here, just in case they decide to get cheeky and name Clique. Drawing Path to Exile is really good here for us. I assume this is going to name Prime Speaker Vannifar. Drawing the Path here makes this card hurt a good bit less. I'm going to take 5 on this combat step this turn, so it's going to get a 1/1 counter from the Meddling Mage. And turn, it's going to get a +1/+1 from the Noble Hierarch Exalted. Hey, Ray House. Well, thanks for the sub. I appreciate it. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday wherever you're at. So I'm fetching here before I do anything because I need something to leave the battlefield to trigger Revolt on this Renegade Rallier. So I get to go ahead and pick this Heath back up. Ideally, my opponent's not going to give this 2 more counters this turn. So that way I can double block with my 2/3 power creatures and trade for their lieutenant. I just don't want it to attack as a 7/7 basically. The Aether Vial makes this kind of trickier. Although I suppose I can double block, and then if they crank it to a 7, I can path it in response. Although I would really prefer to use this path on the Meddling Mage so I can unlock the Vannifar in my hand. That's really funny. Someone earlier had asked about Kestig Malcontents. I was like, they don't play that card anymore. This opponent does. This does damage to me equal to the number of humans my opponent controls, so gotta get rid of this big one here. And then we're taking 6 here altogether. They have, I guess this isn't a human, so we're taking 5 altogether. We're taking 1 plus 4 from this down to 7. And then, unfortunately, this Meddling Mage is hanging out in play, so I can't cast this Prime Speaker Vannifar. So unless we draw, our second path, we're in a lot of trouble. Yeah, I felt like this list was pretty significantly worse against the average Modern deck than the previous list that we've played, while gaining a lot of points against Blue-White Control, which we did beat Blue-White Control, but yeah, Teferi as a whole was kind of a miss for me. Unless I was expecting to play against Blue-White Control and Green-Black Rock 50+% of my matches, I don't think I would play this card in the main deck. I think it was good enough against Blue-White Control that I would entertain playing some of them in the sideboard, just because the Blue-White Control deck was a tough matchup for this. But yeah, we boarded these out in 4 out of the 5 matches, and I think that's probably going to be the norm as opposed to the exception in Modern. Just so much of Modern is about playing decks that are brutally efficient and get on the board quickly that this card just doesn't do that. A $2.50 donation gets me to open a chest, because that's how much money it sets on fire.